Are you taping?
Yeah, we're rolling, guys.
We're rolling.
We're rolling.
So, first of all, I would just like to welcome you guys and introduce you. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's
thanks,
it going?
Robert. Nice to be here at breakfast
Cheers.
with you.
Breakfast
for
Club.
Breakfast.
The
Thanks
breakfast.
for-
Now we've done
on
it.
the sacred.
Now we've done it.
On the sacred document here. Here we go. Wait.
The God sent the documents to me last night.
Oh my
You
God.
guys already messed it up.
Those white people, right?
White people.
Leave it to Pahana, man.
Sorry.
Pahanas.
So, I'm Robert Dakota with Worldviews Media, and this is Clifford Mahooty. And we also have David Sheldon of Road to Ruins, and Alan Steinfeld with New Realities.
That's right.
So we're just gonna give you a little bit of feedback and information about what the cosmic origins are.
Well, you know, I want to say I've been sitting on maybe, 3 or 4 panels with Clifford this week, and he's an amazing resource in what he tells you and what he doesn't tell you. You know? He knows so much. There's so many secrets and wisdom here that Clifford alone is worth coming to the conference for.
Well, what do you mean by that, Alan? Can you go a little
Well,
bit
he
further?
goes, you know, what
would
my
agree.
discussions with you or what you've shared is that, you know, there's a real tradition in the Zuni nation about the star people, and there's certain, you know, initiatory practices you have to be, you know, brought into as part of the clan in order to know the ways of communication with these star beings, and Clifford will share just as much as he wants about that. But no, there's a lot of wisdom. I want to know everything this guy knows. No,
Got 10 years?
No, I do. I think you have some really great things to say that could come out if your tradition allowed it.
I think there's really nothing secret in the Zuni world, and we through the rituals and the prayers and the spiritual practices that we do. It's only the fact that people do not understand it, and it's spoken and it's performed in every occasion in our village.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that I started interpreting it based upon my studies, and people tend to think that I'm giving away Zuni secrets. There's no secrets that I give away. If you go to any of our ceremonies and sit there and listen, and then you can understand everything that they're saying is not secret. How come they would say that in the public? Mm-hmm. All it is a message that is provided to everybody, and some of us that have studied it for some time, and even those that know the system, they can repeat those, but sometimes they don't really give you the full understanding, because in order to do that, you've got to have a very pretty, I guess, a researchable type approach, analytical approach, and then also the comparison of what is here and what used to be in history, and then also the application of what you're supposed to do as an individual. They are nothing but books, only in oral. So if you wanna learn calculus, and you pick up this book called Calculus, and you get scared of it, you don't want to deal with it, you lay it down. And so once in the future somebody asks you about a mathematical equation or whatever, and you say, well, what the heck is that? Well, it's in the calculus book. The same way applies in the Zuni world, is that they, when they go through the rituals and the ceremonies, all they're doing is that they're reciting past history, what the ritual is about, and it's nothing complex. So all you have to do is just listen, analyze, and learn. So that's basically what it is. Same way on my route to get to where I'm at today. When I say where I'm at today, I'm in my 70s. Took a lot of studying here on what I call the white man side, and also at the same time studying my Pueblo, Zuni Pueblo side, plus other Indian tribes, because they're basically the same. They're the white man's side called physics, archaeology, and other sciences are the same as over here. Only these are in formulas and written. These are in oral, and they're connected with landmarks, and of course the stars. So
That's good.
I'm just excited that you're going to avail people to the oral tradition. And one of my big takeaways from hearing you speak in the past, Clifford, is the fact that we're losing oral tradition. It's not getting passed as it once was. That kind of lends a sense of urgency to this for me. You know, that this knowledge is going to disappear soon, and it seems rather critical for humanity to get this out now.
Well, we have been helped. The Pueblo people, especially, are the survivors. If you look at the other nations, like it's the Dakota, the Cherokee, other Indian groups, there's actually now 566 different Indian tribes in the United States that are federally recognized. And there must be something like about 20 or better that are state recognized tribes, which are the ones that are in California, Texas. For example, in California, they're what they call the Mission Indians. They're actually the same people as the federally recognized, but because of politics, they were sort of thrown out. But what I have observed or I have experienced in the last 3 or 4 years when I'm doing this is that everybody that I have gone to are looking at the American Indian community for answers. Rightfully so, because they were the original inhabitants of this country here, and also they had the vast knowledge. Not to be angry about anything, the civilizations that entered these lands were the one that destroyed a whole bunch of things.
And
if you
the
look at
knowledge.
Mexico, they destroyed all the people by the millions, and their primary objective was material gain, which in this case was gold and emeralds and other semi-precious stones. And when they started in this country, the so-called founding fathers, when they first came here, the immediate thing is to get rid of the inhabitants because their objectives in life were different than the people that were here. They had previous travelers. They came to America, what is now the United States, primarily from the north, Europe and China. They came over here. They intermingled with the people that were here, but they came in peace, and it was sort of like a cultural exchange, technological exchange, and we adopted it. When I say we, I'm talking about the American Indian community. So there's a whole history of those things which has been deliberately ruined by two basic groups. First of all is the Smithsonian Institute. I think they started out with the right motive, but when they saw some of the things that were here that could distort their own history, that they had to readjust the history so that we are not allowed, or would the future generations be allowed to know where is what and what type of rituals that they do, and they're actually directly related closer to God than what the Catholic Church, in my opinion, has done to this country, or at least the world. The Catholic Church were the second group that came, and they also destroyed all the things that were Indian oriented.
Right. So all this whole oral tradition is the only thing that survived, really. And that's
The oral tradition survived because they could not understand,
And they couldn't burn it.
and they couldn't burn it, or they couldn't steal it.
But you know, there's an oral tradition to the Native Americans, but there's also a tradition in the West that's been totally ignored too. The real ancient origins in archaeology. This is sort of what you're doing the conference for.
Yeah, well, one thing that I notice when I travel and meet other indigenous cultures, they seem to have this connection to the stars and the star people or the sky people, where we find that sort of fantastical or, you know, imaginary. It's real in their culture, and it was real in our culture when we were closer to nature in Europe and other areas like the Middle East.
You know, it's what Clifford's saying. We've been, besides the native cultures being wiped, that we've been brainwashed to think that this is all there is, Western materialism. We haven't even been allowed to see this wisdom or realize we're connected to something bigger.
Western culture can't wrap its hands around oral tradition. You know, we asked one of the top academics in the country, the head of anthropology at KU, about oral tradition, and he tells us you're familiar with the telephone game, aren't you? You know, as if Clifford's ancient ancestors were sitting around and taking time off from fighting for survival every day to make up fiction, to pass on, and to put all that
And
time and
distort
effort
it.
into fiction. And that's not the case at all, is it, Cliff?
No.
And the thing about, I think, oral tradition is you're really not allowed to change things and interpret it, right? It's passed down pretty much word for word.
It can cause arguments that
Well-
last a long time, can't it?
Well, what I have experienced is that these prayers have been going on for centuries, if not thousands of years. And I always had that question, but then I look at it from the standpoint of other systems, that if I wrote something on here, the next guy will come over there and erase it and put something in there that's absolutely contrary to what I wrote. If you look at the Library of Alexandria, in this case, they burned that.
Yeah.
You know, awful.
And they put something in there that was not for real. In our system, you can see that immediately. When you go through the prayer system, and the reason that they do that is that it's a continuous. You start out at a very young age, you go into a certain order, there's many orders, and then you learn it step by step. And then the reason is that when you get to some point, you're also going to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. So it's a cyclic, it's an ongoing linear generation, but at the same time it's cyclic in the information. Mm-hmm. So you got this time as the time goes, but you also improvise other ways of communication. Okay, one of the things that in our history within the last 100 years, or at least, is that we were getting to the point of where our lights were sort of dimming down in terms of education and training and information. One of the things that the old timers did not like was being taken a picture with a camera. Mm-hmm. And the other one was the recording stuff. Mm-hmm. Because that was somebody had told them that this is the work of the devil or whatever. Might have been some other. And so they looked at the first people that came over here, which were the Smithsonian group back in the 1880s, that had the technology being a pen and a pencil and paper. While the ancient ones had that type of system, and they called petroglyphs.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But that was their reference points, and that was their history. Mm-hmm. And it was added on intervally. Mm-hmm. Past civilizations would come through here, and they find these rock drawings, and then they add theirs on too. They didn't destroy the other ones, so they just added on there, including the Chinese. The Chinese were here 2,500 BC. so they added on their own systems on it. I have had an opportunity to talk to the expert on that, and he has been researching that. And right next to the Indian petroglyphs are the Chinese. So we've had other people that have come over here, but they were not of that way to destroy, conquer, and rape Mother Earth for resources. It was a real cultural exchange.
Yeah. No,
How about that?
No, I think it's really important that you've included the indigenous connection in this conference, Robert.
Yeah.
It gives us a bigger picture than just, even Egyptian is very Western, is the birthplace of Westernism, but to have this other perspective on our cosmic origins gives us a whole bigger picture.
Well, I felt like since they're the original people of this land, that they should be part of it and have a special place and start off with them, so that we can remember the energy of this land.
So you're starting the conference with this?
Yeah, on Saturday morning, the opening ceremony is going to be with Cliff and Malava, a Hopi elder, and Cliff's son, Cleve, who's from the Badger clan. And then we have a Mayan daykeeper who is coming into the mix by chance.
Wow.
And we have a healer from Bolivia and a medicine person coming from Bolivia as well. That's going to be part of the opening ceremony. So as the Southwest has been the crossroads for all these ancient civilizations, we're going to kind of be reuniting that energy together with these guys.
And I love that you've got science and oral tradition at the same place, not only in the conference, but in this chair.
Yeah.
I mean, Clifford represents really a unique individual with a very unique and educated background, coming from both the oral tradition and as a highly educated engineer.
Yeah.
He's seen both sides and seen the Western culture side and seen the Zuni side.
You understand how the two minds work. You understand how Western mind works, and it's kind of very limited way. Does it have anything to offer?
Well, the natives accused me of being a white man.
Because you were an engineer?
I guess.
But you understand the two minds. I think that's really fascinating that you have that bridge of a perspective.
Yeah.
Walk in both worlds.
Yeah.
But it's just like that thing I talk about in the beginning. Technology and spirituality were one and the same. It was like it was a working relationship. You cannot separate those two.
Right.
But as time went on, they separated them. And somewhere the spirituality sort of went on a path by itself, and the technology because of the way they set it up. Somewhere between those two, man invented religion.
Yeah.
Religion is an invention, and after that, it kind of took over like a whole bunch of different religions started off, just like having weeds in your garden that if you don't tend it, you have all kinds of different weeds. Just like the tumbleweed. Tumbleweed is not native to the United States. And look, every state has a tumbleweed that sucks out the water, and it's a nuisance, it's a fire hazard.
Just like the white man. Huh?
Just like the white man. I have in my presentation next week, I have a timeline of all the different migrations of the Pueblo people. I'm focusing on the Pueblo people because I'm going to talk about the ruins. But after the 1500, after the Chukka culture disappeared, and I put on there 1500 AD, and then in the future from 1500 AD to this point, and it stops right there, and it's a chaos. I call it chaos because that's where we're at right now.
So the Anastasies
like it.
disappeared before the Pueblos came in, the Chaco culture.
You open a can of worms there
Sorry.
just with that word,
Sorry.
Anastasia.
Yeah, it's Satsanum.
Okay, I just heard it meant ancient ones, but I
Yes.
don't know.
I'm with
Yeah.
you.
But So that Chaco culture, we'll call it. There's not a trace except the kivas that they left behind.
Well, see, that's where, if you want to call about secrets,
Yeah, I do.
if you look at what happened immediately after that, is the Spanish entrada.
Right, right.
Now, people laugh at me, but these people not only were taken care of by what everybody calls the star people, but they also had people that were among them that were both human and half alien.
I believe that.
If you look at Egypt, remember the royal family had the extended skulls,
Yeah.
and they were called priests. It's the same thing in the Pueblo culture. They call priesthood, and the priests were the only ones that had access to the star people, even to this day.
Wow.
But again, there's been too many weeds in the garden now, so we kind of have to go through the weeds to find out who the real guy is.
Wow.
So this is the other thing too that has probably in my own studies, and I've been studying this for over 50 years, and that's why it's very difficult for me to sit down with individuals that have written all the books about Pueblo people, even the other tribes. But in this case, I'm talking about Pueblo people. A lot of times, if you're an observer, and if you're not in the system, and this is strictly scientific, you can look at any system and find out that a lot of these people had distorted the facts to fit whatever the people want them to buy, which in this case is a book. I've sat down with writers and I said, I really got into almost fist fights to a point.
They're making it there, yeah.
But the thing about it is that they don't want to tell me their sources. There's several writers that I've met personally. Who did you talk to in Zuni?
Because they're making it up? Is that why they don't want to tell you the sources? They're fabricating it?
If you took a whole, let's say about 20 people, it's just like remember that thing about if you had 20 people, you whisper in one guy's ear,
Right.
and by the time he comes back, it's an entirely different thing. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so and the other thing too is that after the invasion of the Spanish and the Catholic Church, you're stupid if you don't tell them the wrong things to protect what is more precious.
Oh, I see. You're right. So they were purposely, and that was distorted the history that then these people who wrote the books got the distorted history.
Right.
The changes.
Or they they went back to the archives in Mexico
Yeah.
and took out, or the Smithsonian and other museums, and they took that information from them and wrote a book on it.
Right.
What is the primary thing of writing a book? Is to make money. See, the money is God to everybody on this planet now. It never used to be, but now it is. So the more books I can sell, hoping that nobody touches, goes in there and research it, and that's where I would walk up there and I said, I want you to tell me where you got this information.
Right.
And that's where the stuff hits the fan, because all of a sudden they thought they were getting away with it, and then they say, who are you? I said, well, I come from that tribe. I'm learned in that. And so besides, he said, look at this other book to compare it with. Those two books are wrong. You're in complete opposition. And that's where it really comes into big play. So this is what my purpose is that I just don't want people to take everything for granted, at least do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And that's why, because right now at this moment that we're sitting, we're looking at things because this world is in deep, deep trouble. And the ancient ones still have the knowledge and the wherewithal to do that, and that's what I'm doing with folks
Yeah.
like you.
I look forward to going to the. I have to go.
Yeah.
But it's great hanging out with you all week.
Sure.
I will see you at the conference.
Great to meet you.
You're going to be at San Francisco?
No, I'm not going to San Francisco.
No,
but I'll
he's
be.
Cosmic
Contact.
Origins.
Yeah.
May 26th through the 28th.
Are you
Look forward to
going
seeing you
Contact?
guys all there. Alan's going to be the MC. David with Road Ruins will be with us.
Just hanging out.
And Cliff will be one of the
Unofficial
speakers as
capacity.
well.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Robert
much.
Big time.
Robert Dakota, the producer and creator of Cosmic Origins.
Thank you.
Robert.
Yeah.
He's a cosmic man.